Let's take a look at Diversified Gas and Oil. And in this video, we're going to value the company using a discounted cash flow model. So we're going to enter financial information into the model. Then the model will estimate the future free cash flows. And then we got to figure out a discount rate that we need to apply to those cash flows. And then it'll give us an intrinsic stock price, and we'll be able to compare it to the actual stock price to see if it's a buy or a sell. And then at the end, we're going to look at the financial ratios of the company and its competitors. So let's get the market cap, 748.1 million. It's a pretty small company. And it's trading at 105.80. Now we need the free cash flows. So we go to the financial section, Yahoo, go to cash flows, and then pull the free cash flows. And it looks like in 2 of the years it had negative free cash flows. I think this is a new company, or at least new to the stock market. So negative cash flows can occur if you're a newer business and you're investing a lot in your operations. Let's look at the income statement. And we need the net income. That's the profit or loss for a given year. And you can see the net income is all positive, yet the free cash flow is negative for 2 years. So you could have a negative free cash flow and a positive net income if you're selling a lot of products on credit. That means you're booking the income, so it's adding to your revenue, but you didn't receive any cash yet. I don't think that's the case with this company. I think it's more of a case of large one-time purchases, especially for newer companies. Just to give you an example, if a company purchased an office building for $1 million in cash, that cash would go down $1 million. So that's why free cash flow would take a big hit, because this is actual cash that goes in and out of the company. But it doesn't affect profits. Like, you don't profit from that. You only profit if you did sell the building. Say in 15 years you sold the building for $1 million. Then you would book the $1 million of cash, and then it would be the other way around. Next, we need net income, which is just the sales for each year. So you can see the sales went up quite a bit, 18 million to 42 million, 290 million to 462 million. So it looks like they are a startup. So it's a little challenging valuing a newer company. It's best to value companies that have been around a long time, that have consistent revenue and net income, but we'll try it anyway just to see what the model spits out. Now we need to look at the capital structure of this company and figure out the discount rate we need to apply to the future cash flows. So the interest they pay on their debt is $32 million. And we'll go to the balance sheet to see how much debt they have. And current debt is $23 million. That's debt that due within 12 months. So not a lot. Most of the debt is long-term, $600 million. And they pay 5.25% interest on the debt. Interest payments are tax deductible. So let's go to the income statement to see their effective tax rate. And 131 million income before tax, and 32 million of taxes. That means their tax rate is 24%. So when you deduct the taxes, you get a cost of debt of 4%. And a little less than half of their capital structure is debt, 45%. Let's look at the beta, because we want to find out the volatility of the stock. And it's a negative beta, which is not common. That means it moves opposite of the market. If the market goes up 1%, this stock would go down 0.2%. Or if the stock market went down 1%, this stock will go up 0.2%. It's usually in gold stocks, you might see a negative beta because they are opposite the market. But this stock could be a good hedge if you're invested in a lot of other stocks, because if the market goes down, you could get really affected. But if you hold some stocks like this, which will hedge your losses. Now, we have the WACC, which is really low because of the negative beta. It's only 2.19%. So we'll use that to discount the future cash flows. So we estimated the future cash flows for 4 years, and then we did a terminal value, which is all years past year 4. Then we discounted those numbers back to today's dollars, and we get a value of the company of $1.4 billion. And when we divide that by 7 million shares, we get a stock price of 196, and it's trading at 106. So it's a 40% discount. It's a buy according to the model. And you can see it was never trading even close to 196. So to give you more color, stock prices are really based off of supply and demand of the market. The more people that buy a stock, the higher the price goes, and the more people that sell the stock, the lower the price goes. So it's not just the fundamentals of the company. If that was the case, the stock market would be really easy to figure out. It's based on a lot of other things, not just the fundamentals, which is what we looked at. It's also based on technical factors like inflation and competition from other people and taxes. And it's also based on market sentiment, how people feel about this company, how people feel about the market, how they feel about this sector, and a lot of other things, which it can be really confusing for a new investor and frustrating as well. So the only way to mitigate these types of risks is to hold stocks long term. You want to pick a stock with good fundamentals and hold it long term, because eventually you should win. Anything can happen. You might have owned Enron, which was a huge company and $1 billion company, and they were doing a lot of shady things and they end up going bankrupt. So anything can happen, even if you pick companies with great fundamentals. But generally, if you pick good companies and hold them for a long time, you will do better than trying to time the market or trying to get lucky with certain penny stocks. Let's look at the ratios, the financial ratios. So we're going to pull some more info from the balance sheet. We need the current assets, 160 million. And then the current liabilities of 126. Then the equity of 938. And we'll get the EBIT also, which is the operating income. It stands for earnings before interest and taxes. So it's what you make before you have to pay interest on the debt and before you pay any taxes. And so current assets is pretty much your cash, accounts receivables, and inventory. Assets which could be easily converted to cash. Liabilities, current liabilities are your short-term liabilities, which is accounts payable and short-term debt. And equity is your value of your company according to the balance sheet. It's total assets minus total liabilities. And also have different names like book value, which I'll call it in a minute in one of the ratios, or net assets. And EBIT, like I said, it's earnings before interest and taxes. So let's look at the ratios. So they have a good PE. It's under 15, and we generally I like a PE under 15. That indicates it's a good value. The calculation is net income over shares outstanding, earnings per share. And in order to improve this ratio, if the stock the price of the stock decreases, this will improve this ratio because stock price is the numerator of the equation. And if companies buy back stocks, this will also improve this ratio. It'll improve all three of these ratios, stock buybacks. Next is price stock price over sales per share. And they looks like they have a good ratio, 1.6. I like to see under 2.2. Generally, a low PS is an undervalued company. Price to book, this has a really low price to book. And I think that's just the nature of the industry. Most companies in this sector seem to have a low price to book. That's stock price over the book value per share or equity per share. Current ratio is your short-term liquidity. It's your current assets over current liabilities. And it's essential you have over 1, because if you don't have over 1 current ratio, you won't be able to fund your day-to-day operations this year, and you'd have to take on more debt. And return on equity is net income over equity. And that's the return the company provides to its equity holders. I can see above 20%. This is a newer company, so maybe it will grow. And you should always compare ratios to similar companies, because you might think these are good ratios, but you won't really know until you compare to their competitors, and then you'll get a better sense if they are good or not, or bad. So this is DGOC, and the orange is who has the best in that category. So Oxy has a negative PE, so that's not the best at all. The formula looks for the minimum. So it's actually DGOC wins that. They have the best price to earnings. BKR is terrible, 133. And price to sales, it looks like they're all pretty strong, all under 2.2. Same thing with price to book. They're all under 1, so that might not be a factor when looking at this industry. Current ratio, they're all solid with above 1. You want between 1 and 2. ROE, DGOC is the highest. All the other companies just don't provide a good return. And debt, BKR has the least debt, and Oxy has the most debt. So you want to put all this info together and make your decision on whether to buy a stock. I just added this new field, probability of default. And it's based on your interest coverage ratio, percentage of debt, market cap, free cash flow, and current ratio. And it's kind of a calculation of all those. And so it's only 2% for this company, which is good. Oh, and interest coverage ratio, I didn't cover. That's an important thing too, because that could force companies into default if you don't have enough interest to cover if you don't have enough earnings to cover your interest payments. So it's EBIT, earnings before interest and taxes, over interest expense. So this company has more than 3 times its interest expense covered. So the interest expense is the $32 million. So they have more than 3 times that. That's really important, because if you can't pay your interest payments on your debt, you're going to have to take on more debt in order to pay it. And that cycle may never end, and you may end up in bankruptcy if you keep taking on more and more debt. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching.